Welcome to Parent Blogger Roundtable with Simon Pegg. Just a reminder to please remain on mute unless you are called on, and to introduce yourself before your first question. And also, please, no follow-up questions. So today we have Ari moderating the roundtable for everyone. So Ari, I'll go ahead and let you take it away.
Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us today. We've got the amazing Simon Pegg. There is a whole bunch of us here, so I'm just going to get rolling in, and hopefully everyone can get to ask a question. So let's keep our timing a little tight if we can. Simon, thank you so much for joining us. We all agree this movie is absolutely adorable, and we love, love, love your character. Our first question is actually going to come from Ashley Saunders with Ashley & Co. Ashley, take it away.
Hi, Simon. Thank you so much for taking time to speak with us today.
Hi, Ashley.
As someone who loves cats of all colors and was born on Friday the 13th, so I'm literally a walking superstition, I have to say it was refreshing to see a movie that kind of flipped all that on its head. What excited you most about Luck and playing Bob?
I just love the concept of the the worlds of good and bad luck, and how sort of extraordinarily complex and beautiful and intricate they were, and yet really the whole thing was like an office job. They were all essentially just punching a clock and working in, for them, quite a mundane place, which I thought was quite funny considering how visual it is. But also the chance to play Bob. I love getting to do a Scottish accent because my wife is Scottish, so I get in her good books for doing that, as long as I do it well. If I don't, then it's the opposite. Yeah, it just seemed to be like a bit of a no-brainer. You know, it was a lovely idea and a lovely sort of aesthetic presentation.
Love it. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next question is going to come from Janice Seitzer.
Hi, Simon.
Hi,
So
Janice.
you have such myriad experience with all sorts of things, writing, producing, voice acting, etc. Do you have a preference in terms of, doing this sort of more comedic roles or voice acting?
Well, the great thing about this job is that it's so varied, and I really enjoy performing. I mean, writing I love, but it's more like hard work. Performing is like playing, and when you get a character like Bob, it really is playing, because it's just you in the room. Whenever you do voice work, you tend to do it solo. You don't work with your other actors. Sometimes you don't even meet them until afterwards, which is the case certainly for me and Eva on this, who plays Sam. We didn't meet until afterwards, and yet the kind of easy chemistry we had when we finally met felt like we'd already established on screen, which was lovely. Voice acting is really strenuous. You'd think it wouldn't be, because it's just you in a room and a microphone, but you have to physicalize all your lines. Facial expressions are recorded for the animators to use. So it's not that different to doing live action, really, but it is a very sort of solitary affair. But I do love it because it's great fun, and I like things when it's all about me.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jana. Our next question is going to come from Christina Petrizio and her adorable kids.
Okay.
Hi, my name is Kennedy, and I'm in the patricias.com. And I have a question. If you could film one of the scenes live action, which scene would it be?
Well, thank you for your question. That was a very good one. That's a no-brainer for me. I love the scene in the movie when they go into the in-between and the gravity changes. And that, for me, would be so much fun to sort of like be somewhere and then suddenly have to flip upside down to land on your feet, which as a cat I would always do, obviously. As a human, probably not. I'd land on my head, but it would be fun, a fun challenge to try and do. I really like that sort of idea that there's a point when gravity switches. I love that in the screenplay, and I think visually they did it really well. So that would definitely be my choice. Thank you for that question. That was a good one.
Thank you.
Our next question is going to come from Tessa Smith from Mama's Geeky.
Hi, Simon. Thank you so much for taking the time today. Really, really appreciate it.
No problem. Thank you.
Love the movie. Think it's a lot of fun. And my daughters and I would love to know if you personally believe in luck.
Well, kind of. I think luck is something that we create for ourselves. I think the idea that something else is in control of our lives and that we don't really have any responsibility for our actions because they're all sort of, ordained by something else. I don't believe that. I believe that luck is what we make. So the opportunities come our way, and we either convert them into good luck or we let them go, and that's kind of bad luck. So I do and I don't really. I feel like it's important for us to take responsibility for what we do and not ascribe blame elsewhere. And at the same time, it's quite a positive thing to suggest that you got to where you want to be, not through some sort of mystical kind of force moving you around, but because you made the right choices and you did the right thing. And I think that's part of what this film teaches in a really sweet way about, what you put into the world. The positivity you put into the world can often come back at you in the form of what feels like good luck. But, at the end of the day, it was you that did it.
I agree. Thank you.
Thanks, Tessa.
Our next question is going to come from Candy Olivares.
Hi, Simon. It's great to speak with you today.
Thank you. You too.
So you mentioned in the voiceover process that, they also film you while you're, doing reading the part. What part of Simon is in Bob?
Oh, I mean, when any character you do, you try and invest something of yourself into the character. Even if you're playing a character that's not very nice, you try and give them some kind of humanity. But I think with Bob, I'm a bit grumpy sometimes. I know it's probably hard to believe because I'm such a sunny personality. But I do get that sort of lonerness that Bob has a little. He's a little solitary. Sometimes he just wants to be by himself. And he learns, obviously, that's probably not the right thing to do, but I can feel like that sometimes. I know what it's like to be like, don't bother me right now. But I also know the value of having friends and that kind of support network is very important. Definitely his kind of mischievous side, that was very much me. Slight impatience. I'm more like Bob than I realized. But yeah, a few things I would say. Thanks for pointing that out.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Our next question is going to come from Kathy Cupcake.
Hi, Simon. I'm Kathy with Life with Kathy. Thank you so much for being here. So
Thanks,
I wanted to thank you. I wanted to ask you, of all the amazing characters you played, you're playing this super cool cat. Tell me, what would you like your audience goers to learn from your character and as well as the movie?
Well, I think, it kind of ties into what I was just saying about the fact that, Bob he's a very solitary guy, and we know why, we find out why, but I think he learns the value of friendship. And I know it's an oft sort of taught lesson about the value of community and friendship and love. But I think the lovely thing about this film, and I think what I hope young people would take away from it, is that, you make your own luck by putting love into the world. And the more you express, the more you get back. As parents and obviously undoubted Beatles fans, we remember that line, the love you take is equal to the love you make. And I think that's kind of really the message of the film. For a film about a magical world that creates luck, I think really at the end of the day, the characters, they make their luck, and they do so by being the best individuals that they can be, And that's the best thing we can teach our kids right now is to be kind, is to put positivity out in the world, to treat people as you want to be treated. And you'll find that that's when the good luck starts to come back to you, I think.
Thank you so much, Simon. Our next question is going to come from Diane from FSM Media.
Hi, Simon. Thank you for being here.
You're welcome.
In the movie, Hazel has a box of Lucky Charms and she wants a lucky penny. Do you have any kind of Lucky Charms or maybe something you do before a role?
I think I was definitely more superstitious when I was younger. I think we almost naturally are superstitious. And I'm not sure why that is. I'm sure there's an anthropological explanation for why human beings, I think because we're basically pattern finding animals. So we look for patterns everywhere. And I think sometimes we look for patterns in things where there are no patterns. And we also see them in things where there are no patterns. I was a bit more inclined to do that until I really thought about it. As I got older, I thought, wait a minute, this rabbit's foot isn't going to do anything other than, remind me that a rabbit died. But definitely as a younger person, I was always very superstitious about magpies. which in the UK, if you see one magpie, it's bad luck. If you see two, it's good luck. I think that comes from the fact that they often pair off magpies. So if you see one, it means that they've had some sort of a divorce, I guess. But I would always spit if I saw a magpie, which was embarrassing if I was, at dinner. But nowadays, I've managed to curb that ridiculous habit.
Thank you.
Oh my God, it's good to know. Our next question is going to come from Mike Lee from That's It LA.
Hi, Simon. How are you?
Hi, Mike. Good, thank you.
Thank you. So a lot of people ask my question, so I'm going to ask something else kind of fun. Since this is an animated film, and there are some people have habits of taking things off of set, but this is an animated film, like I said, what would you take, if you could, from this set, from the movie?
Well, if it was real, if it was live action, I would absolutely, there's plenty of stuff to take from the land of luck. There's the pennies and there's all the crystals and dust and all that stuff. The great thing about this film, for me, was that, and perhaps one of the, the upsides of lockdown, which we had to find, didn't we, when we were sort of consigned to our houses, was that I did a lot of the voice sessions, in fact, all of the voice sessions for this movie from my home. So I would have the studio was set up for me by an engineer, and then there was a room in my house where I'd go and I'd do the sessions from home. So if I stole anything, I would be stealing from myself, which would be obviously self-defeating. But no, there's plenty of magical stuff in luck that would be fun to have, not least a talking cat.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mike.
Our next question is going to come from Annika from the Mommy Factor.
Hi, thank you for being here today.
You're welcome.
My question is regarding having luck itself. And there's a part in the movie where it talks about the different kind of luck that people can experience. If you can choose to experience a lucky moment or lucky happening or whatever, what would it be?
That's a great question. I mean, I suppose it comes down to whether it's a material moment of getting something, like winning a whole bunch of money or something, or I think you're lucky in life if you experience genuine love, whether it's love that you're feeling or love that you're receiving. And I think that's always probably the most important one beyond any kind of material gain or the idea of just being happy. I always think that success should be measured by whether or not we're happy rather than how much we have or whatever, or how much we've managed to sort of accumulate. If you're happy, then you're a success. And if you feel that way, then I think you're lucky. So I think it would always be something non-material, although the temptation is to say a Ferrari.
Thank you. Our next question is going to come from Shelf Ice.
Hi, Simon. Thank you so much for being here. You've got a very rich history in comedy. So I was wondering what scene of the movie you thought was the funniest.
Oh, man, there's so much funny stuff in that movie. It was really interesting because it's a very physical role. And obviously, I'm seemingly just providing my voice. But in the sessions, I would be physically gesticulating and doing all the facial expressions because I was being filmed. So a lot of the time during the recording, Peggy Holmes, the director, would just laugh a lot. And Peggy always laughed at every take. I mean, she was amazing because she constantly stayed engaged and enthusiastic about the material. There were a couple of times when you're recording when you accidentally say something inappropriate as the character, which is always funny. Because, the idea of some sort of R-rated kids show is always an entertaining idea, although we would never see it, obviously. Yeah, that's a really hard question. I love it. The thing that I really love is the way that Bob moves effortlessly through the land of luck whilst he's guiding Sam, and like all this stuff just happens in front of him as he moves forward. I love that stuff. It's so clever. The way that they animated that. People forget that, Bob is not just me. Bob is me and a host of other people creating this brilliant little character and animating every tiny movement and he makes. And, I get all the credit, but there's so much hard work goes into these films. It boggles the mind. But that bit.
Thank you.
Our next question is going to come from Coralie from Lead Bugs and Postcards.
Hey, Simon.
Hi.
We loved the movie. I felt like I told my kids I felt like the cat was Simon in cat form. It was just brilliant. You did such a good job. Were you able to improv any of the script? I felt like a lot of your personality from what I've seen of you in other movies really came through in this.
Yeah, occasionally. I mean, particularly when it came down to the specificities of what Bob said. You know, being coming from a Scottish family and knowing the minutiae of the Scottish dialect, I was able to throw a few things in here and there where it might not have been in the script, or just come up with little ideas and little things to throw in. The script was so great, though. A lot of the time it was just there on the page and it was just about making it sing. But Peggy was always very sort of up for collaboration and throwing things into the mix. And if you throw out a joke and everybody laughs, that's it, it's in. So occasionally, yeah, a few things came in. But as I said, it was written so beautifully, it was kind of already there.
Awesome, thank you.
Thank you.
Great. Our next question is going to come from Cami Allen from the Mama Diaries.
Hi, Simon. I'm Kami from the mamadiaries.com.
Hi.
So I have 2 black cats. So when I first saw the trailer, I was immediately a fan. So you were able to work with the legendary John Lasseter. Can you tell us how that was working with him?
I didn't really interact with John. I mean, my every session I did was generally with, well, it was always with Peggy, Holmes, the director, and then the team, writer, and the producers, obviously, looking after, because I was in the UK and Peggy was in the US. So it was just really the pedigree of, you know, one of the founders of Pixar being involved. I think that's reflected in this, in the visuals and in the kind of, the great thing about the Pixar films is that they were always so much more than just the sum of their story. There was a lot of depth to them. There was a lot of meaning. It wasn't just visuals. There was a human story involved in there. You know, there were genuine kind of life lessons about friendship and love, important things that were the sort of signature of Pixar. And I think that sort of carried over into the Skydance Animation House, which is a good thing.
Thank you.
And last but certainly last least, we have Queen Bee Latina Angela Camacho.
Did we get everybody in?
We have one more. Angela's going to ask it. You're doing great.
Good.
Hi, Simon. Thank you for having me. I absolutely love your work. My question is, without giving too much away, what is your favorite line of dialogue?
In Luck. Oh man, that's a really hard question. Now I'm gonna have to scour the entire script. I was doing so well. I wanted to get everybody in today. Mind you, I suppose this is the last question. I can take like 20 minutes, just sit here and think. There's so many great lines that Bob has. One of my favorite lines to say was, "How unlucky are you?" Which was just, it's one of those ones where you can just really go over the top. And that, I mean, for me, the direction I get the most from directors is, can you just bring it down a little bit, Simon? And with Bob, you know, it was more about like, go, go, go. So there are so many lines in the movie that were fun. I remember a couple of times just getting the giggles in the voice sessions and not being able to speak because we were laughing too much. And sometimes that was stuff that was going on outside the script, but a lot of the time it was definitely the script. So I'd need to come back to you on that one.
That's okay. You were fantastic. Thank you.
Oh, thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you all so much, Simon. Thank you. You're amazing. We appreciate you. Everybody,
Thanks,
remember, Luck opens on Apple TV Plus on August 5th. Tell your friends, tell your family, tell your black cats. And and thank you all. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Thank you.